there are some things that I do want to see from LSU versus Baylor in this bowl game. Look, it's an exhibition. You and I both know that. But there are just things that more than like I want to see than actual keys to victory. The number one is very simple. Can you establish the running game? Can you run the football? Now, you should be able to run the football regardless if Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger is not there. You should be able to find ways to run the football. Here's why. Baylor's 84th in the country in run defense. Excuse me. Yes, 84th in the country in run defense. They haven't been able to stop a bloody nose with a tampon all year long in the running game. And I hope that in the Big 12, your second unit can be just as competitive than a Big 12 team. You got to be able to establish the running game. If Joe Sloan is going to be your full-time play caller, which that's a whole different conversation for another day. We talked about Tommy Reese on Monday. But God's honor, God's scout honor, I think Brian Kelly, and even in a bowl game, may still be hands-on here. I hope that he is. I really, really, really hope that Brian Kelly's involved in play calling in the bowl game. I really do. I want to see more of what he would do in situations. You better be able to line up and run this football. It's going to tell you where you're at in a lot of key areas. Because other than Braylon Moore, a lot of these guys are going to be there. And I sure assume that Weston Davis will play. But Bo Bordelon's time is running up here, and it looks like they're going to start him or play him at right guard. Because Baylor's been so bad defending the run. So the number one thing that I'm coming up there to try to pop him in the mouth. Now, you know Dave Aranda a lot like I know Dave Aranda, in the sense of Dave will give up a lot of yards in the run in between the 20s and then lock down in the red zone. It's not what's been happening here. Baylor has physically been dominated in the running game all year. 84th. I'm lining up and running that rock. I'm not going there to make friends. I'm going out to find out if I have a good baseline to win a national title. It's Brian Kelly's words, not mine. Go out there and run that football. Give Nuss some relief. The opposite side is just the same, if I'm being honest. And the opposite side, I mean this. The vice versa of running the football is throwing that thing around. Baylor is 87th in the country in passing yards allowed this year. Now, your two top receivers, okay, one hit the portal and is gone, or I say two top, but you get what I mean. Two of the three starting wide receivers that you had, one is going to Miami. The other is sitting out getting ready for the NFL draft. So now you have Xavion Thomas, who I do think's got to have a big bowl game, and you have Aaron Anderson. Chris Hilton, we know what the things that he can give us are. What we don't know with Chris Hilton is what does it look like outside of him running a fade route? That is interesting because they're going to have to do other things with Chris Hilton. You can't just keep running him out there and letting him run fade routes all game. You got to get him established. God forbid he needs to be one of your big guys next year. Go out there and let him do other stuff and throw him the football too. You're going to get a good look at your wide receiver room because I don't know how much there with Nuss, if you can't establish the running game for whatever reason, there's only other one cog that you can do. Let's throw that thing around. This is the floor from your receiver room. Right? Like this will be the floor because you do have Barry and Brown coming in. You do have Nick Anderson coming in. The floor and a receiving tight end and Bauer Sharp. The floor. Trey Green. Got to show us something. Offensively, I feel right now that there are so many question marks surrounding this team outside of Garrett and Aaron Anderson, for what it's worth. Vice versa, you guys. I know that you have guys out. Blake, you sound crazy. We have got guys and teams, players that are out. So do Baylor. But both starting safeties aren't playing. Guys, if you're the unit that you're going into next season with, if they can't be capable for you, then what do you think is going to change this offseason? Guys don't make miraculous leaps from a bowl game to game one. Now, Jane Daniels did and Joe Burrow did. Not everybody does that. What you see from this offense may be your base floor here. Number 3, you have been so much better eliminating turnovers the last couple of games from Florida on. And what's interesting about what has helped Garrett the most is that Brian Kelly got involved and was in that meeting room with him. And Brian Kelly made a joke 4 or 5 weeks ago about Garrett when we played Florida and stated, I think Garrett's going to be a lot better this week. Well, the reason that he said that is that he's been meeting with Garrett not as a head coach, but as a coordinator, essentially, like what a coordinator would. Per him, it's helped alleviate some of the turnovers. Now, Florida was bad. Vandy and Oklahoma were not. You saw what you can be as a team. Arkansas, Vandy, Oklahoma. That is what you can look like. Those, quite frankly, may have been some of your best games, especially from a turnover standpoint. But you had 4 total turnovers in the last 3 games. Blake, that's a lot. You know, you're right. It's still a lot. But, guys, in the SEC going into the Florida week, you are averaging 3 turnovers per game in the SEC. So every SEC opponent that you played, you were averaging 3 turnovers per game. Pick, fumble, turnover on downs, regardless of what it is. That was catastrophic. The skid that you went on during the season, what did all of them have in common? They all had 3 turnovers apiece. That's what they had in common. So we'll see, but it's definitely what I want to see. Let's move to defense. The only real thing that I want to see from the defense is this. Number 4. The only real thing that I want to see defensively is I got to see Don McKinley. I got to see Devon Keys. And, guys, I need to see Javian Toviano. I think that Javian Toviano may be, more than any player on this team, this might be the biggest game of his career going into New Year's Eve. It could mean a lot of things for you in this sense. If he can go into safety and he can play well, or I just say play average or a little bit above average, I feel so much better about you as a team. Guys, you have had the worst safety play that I've ever seen an LSU team have. It's been atrocious. Absolutely, utterly atrocious. I guess people tell me this all the time when I have conversations with people I trust. I tell them every time, I just don't know how safety play can get worse. And boy, they're probably right that Blake, they can get worse than Major Burns and Sage Ryan. Maybe you're right. But I don't know if it can. Not here. No way. Javian Toviano, it is the biggest game of your career, young man. And I don't know if you played in state championship games or not. That doesn't mean shit for your career. It's the biggest game that he's ever played. Because if he can lock some things down at strong safety or free, wherever they're going to put him, well, then you might be a safety away from having the defense that you're going to put on the field in 2025. Everything else for me defensively feels like blah. Because I could see a world where you have DJ Pickett / Ashton Stamps. You have Perk at star. The D-line, you have Pyburn or Butler. You have Jacobian Guillory, Sadir Mitchell. You have Don McKinley. You have Patrick Payton. Weeks, Keys. At the far boundary corner, being Mansour Delane. Now, you do need a slot corner. You do need who's going to win that battle? I don't know. Is it PJ Woodland? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm getting a really good idea of what you look like. If you bring in a portal safety, the likelihood is that they're going to start here. At least early, they probably will. And then at free, do you put in Jordan Gilbert? What do you do there? Is Toviano? What are you doing at safety? I have a pretty good vision of where I think that you're going to be. Here's the truth. With the talent that I think that you're going to put on the field, I think talent, you can be a top 40 defense. It's what I believe. Now, you and I discussed this year, okay, that going into the season, the discussion that you and I had is that I thought that LSU would be mid-50s in total defense. They go from 108 to about 50, 55. They ended at 53. And Carter and I did an entire segment upon it. You can find it on YouTube, as it's the 7th year anniversary of our YouTube channel. Allegedly. No bigger position than safety in reference to knowing what we need. But I have a pretty good idea. I have more questions about you offensively at the current moment. So we'll see. Number 5, have fun. Just go have fun. I don't know what else to tell you. Go have fun.